Hold out your right hand. Now try to place it completely flat on a table in front of you. Go ahead. Pause the video and actually try it. If your ring finger or your little finger pulls down toward your palm and won't lay completely flat, you may be carrying a genetic memory that is over 40,000 years old. Not just Viking ancestry. Older. Much, much older. The condition is called Dupuytren's contracture. For centuries, doctors and historians simply called it the Viking disease because it appears overwhelmingly in people of Scandinavian and Northern European descent. In Norway, around 30% of men over the age of 60 have it. In Iceland, the rates are even higher. Compare that to just 5% of the general American population, and you start to understand why this condition follows a very specific bloodline. But in 2023, a landmark genetic study published by the Karolinska Institutet in Sweden uncovered something that rewrote everything we thought we knew about this condition. This isn't just a Viking trait. It goes back to a species that walked this earth long before the first Norse warrior ever picked up a sword. By the end of this video, you will know exactly where this gene came from and what it means for your bloodline. So, what exactly is Dupuytren's contracture? It usually begins completely silently. Somewhere in your palm, most often at the base of your ring finger, a small, firm nodule forms just beneath the skin. You might notice it as a tiny lump or a slight thickening. Many people mistake it for a callus and think nothing of it. Over months, or even years, cords of thickened tissue begin to develop beneath the skin, running from the palm up toward the finger. These cords slowly tighten like a rope being pulled, drawing the finger into a permanent downward curl toward the palm. The ring finger is affected most often, the little finger second, and in some cases, both fingers curl together, making it impossible to open the hand fully. There is a simple self-test you can do right now. It's called the tabletop test. Place your hand flat on any hard surface. Look closely. Is there a gap under your ring or little finger? A space where the skin doesn't quite reach the table? If there is, that's a positive result. Now here's something important to understand. Dupuytren's contracture does not usually cause pain. Many people live with the early signs for years, even decades, without ever knowing the condition has a name. They simply think their hand has always been that way. And often, it runs in families. Grandfather had it, father had it, now you. That is not coincidence. That is ancestry. Pause this video right now. Place your hand flat on the table one more time. Look at that ring finger. Does it lift? Because if it doesn't, you're about to find out exactly why doctors have been calling this the Viking disease for centuries. So why did doctors call this the Viking disease? Because wherever the Vikings went, this condition followed. The highest rates of Dupuytren's contracture in the world are found in Iceland and Norway, the heartland of Viking civilization. In a Norwegian study of nearly 16,000 citizens, over 10% of men had the condition. In some age groups, that figure rose to 30%. Now compare that to the rest of the world. In Southern Europe, the rates dropped dramatically. In people of African, East Asian, or Native American descent, Dupuytren's is extraordinarily rare, almost unheard of. This is not random. This is a genetic signature that belongs to a very specific group of people. Follow the Viking migration routes and you follow the condition. Scotland, where Norse settlers intermarried with Celts for centuries, has rates significantly higher than the rest of Britain. Northern England, directly settled by Danish and Norwegian Vikings during the Danelaw era. Normandy in France, founded by Norsemen who gave it its very name. Iceland, essentially a Viking colony, where the condition is more common than almost anywhere on Earth. and then carried across the Atlantic by the descendants of those settlers into Ireland, Scotland, and eventually into the United States, Canada, and Australia. If your family traces back to any of those places, you are looking at a direct ancestral line to the Norse people who carried this gene across the medieval world. But here is where the story gets far more extraordinary. Because the Vikings didn't create this gene, they inherited it from something far older. Stay with me, because what researchers found in 2023 is unlike anything that has been discovered about this condition before. In June 2023, researchers at the Karolinska Institute in Sweden published the results of the largest genetic study ever conducted on Dupuytren's contracture. They analyzed genetic data from over 7,000 people with the condition. They identified 61 significant genetic variants associated with it, and then they found something extraordinary. 3 of the most powerful genetic risk factors for Dupuytren's contracture, including the second and third strongest associations in the entire study, were not modern human variants at all. They were Neanderthal. These 3 variants entered the modern human genome over 40,000 years ago, when our ancestors first migrated out of Africa and encountered Neanderthal populations already living across Europe and Western Asia. They were children, there was interbreeding, and those Neanderthal genes were passed down, generation after generation, through the people who became the Norse, the Vikings, and eventually their descendants scattered across the modern world. This is why Dupuytren's contracture is almost entirely absent in people of African descent. Their ancestors did not make that migration through Neanderthal-inhabited Europe. They did not inherit those variants. But you might have. If you checked your hand at the start of this video and felt that familiar pull, that ring finger that never quite lays flat, you may be carrying a genetic memory that is not just Viking old. It is Neanderthal old. Think about what that means for a moment. Every person in your bloodline who carried this gene, from your father to his father's father, stretching back through Viking warriors and Norse settlers and ancient European tribes, all the way to the first modern humans who met a Neanderthal at the edge of a prehistoric forest. That is not a disease in your hand. That is 40,000 years of human history. Drop a comment right now and tell me, do you have this condition? Do you have a family member who has it? Let me know below, because I read every single comment on this channel. Now here is where it gets personal. Dupuytren's contracture is one of the strongest physical indicators of Scandinavian and Northern European ancestry that exists. But a physical trait alone cannot tell you the full story of your bloodline. If you want to know your actual Scandinavian percentage, the specific regions of Norway, Sweden, Denmark, or Iceland your family traces back to, and if you want to see your own Neanderthal DNA count, the only way to do that is through an Ancestry DNA test. Modern ancestry tests have become remarkably specific. They can now break down not just your broad European ancestry, but identify distinct Scandinavian regional groups, Norwegian coastal communities, Swedish inland populations, Danish Viking-era lineages, and crucially, leading Ancestry DNA tests now show your Neanderthal variant count. You can see exactly how many Neanderthal DNA variants you carry compared to other users. For people with strong Northern European ancestry, these numbers are often among the highest recorded. If you have watched this video and felt something, if you checked your hand, or you remembered a parent or grandparent who had that same curl in their finger, I have linked the Ancestry DNA test I would recommend for this specific purpose in the description below. It will show you your Scandinavian and Norse ancestry breakdown, your Neanderthal variant count, and trace your family's migration routes across Europe and into the modern world. The link is in the description, and using it supports this channel. Before we close, I want to address something important for anyone who has just recognized these signs in their own hand. Dupuytren's contracture is not dangerous. It is not cancerous. It does not spread to other parts of the body. The vast majority of people who have it will live their entire lives with only mild symptoms that require no treatment at all. For most people, early Dupuytren's means a small, firm lump in the palm and a finger that doesn't quite straighten fully. That may be all it ever is. In more advanced cases, where the finger has curled significantly and is affecting your ability to grip, shake hands, or use your hands normally, there are very effective treatments available. These range from collagenase injections, which dissolve the cord of thickened tissue, to a minor surgical procedure that releases the contracture. The condition also has a strong hereditary pattern. If a parent or grandparent had noticeably curled fingers in later life, fingers they could never quite straighten, there is a significant chance that is what caused it. And now you know what to call it. 60 to 70% of people with Dupuytren's have a direct genetic predisposition. Men are significantly more likely to develop it than women, and the condition is roughly 8 times more common in men overall. If you have noticed early signs and are uncertain, a simple visit to a hand specialist or your GP will confirm it immediately. The tabletop test you performed at the start of this video is the same test doctors use. Somewhere in your family line, generations back, perhaps many centuries back, a Norseman carried this same condition in his hand. He crossed the North Sea in an open longship. He settled new lands. He raised children who raised children who raised children, until eventually, the line of descent reached you. And before him, stretching even further back into the darkness of prehistoric Europe, a pair of ancient humans met at the edge of a world that was nothing like the one we know. And their children carried something forward through time. That curl in your ring finger is not a flaw. It is not a disease in any meaningful sense. It is a 40,000-year-old message written into your DNA, passed down through Neanderthals, through ancient Europeans, through the Norse people who shaped the medieval world, through every ancestor in your direct bloodline. That is what you are carrying. If you found this video helpful and felt that recognition, that quiet certainty that this is your history too, subscribe to this channel. There is a lot more of this waiting for you. Physical traits, genetic markers, DNA ancestry breakdowns. We go deep into all of it here. Drop a comment below telling me, do you have the Viking hand? Has anyone in your family? I read every single comment and I reply to as many as I can. The link to the Ancestry DNA test is in the description. And I will see you in the next one.